Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is inspired by a question that I got early last week, and I thought this would be the perfect topic for a video. The question was regarding how did I know that this was a good career field for me? So I want to read the exact question and then I want to read my response because I think it was very spontaneously written. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it, but I really like what I said because I think that I can't replicate what I said as appropriately as I did at that moment. So here we go. All right. She says, "Hi, Blue. What do you love most about medical coding? It is a rare thing to truly love the work that you do." I agree very much. "I've been searching for a very long time. What is so great about it through your eyes? Thank you." And I said, "What I love most about medical coding is that it never gets boring. I always have to learn. Regardless of the clinic that I code for, I am constantly pushing to learn more. The way I look at it is, the more I understand the body and the disease process, the better I get with my career. That's the other thing. It's not just a job, it's a career. It's a lifestyle, truth be told. When you have a career, you devote yourself to it. You put time, energy, and it makes you grow as an individual, and it doesn't stop. Then you meet all kinds of people, but really you get to meet and work with some of the most intelligent, brilliant people you will ever meet in your whole life. And the medical coder gets to be their partner. If you're lucky, you get to grow together. The bond and the partnership with providers is a special one. It is one that I covet and I know that I am blessed to have. I have stuck through medical coding through thick and thin, and it has been there for me. I don't know where I would be in this life if I didn't have this. Sharing my experiences on YouTube is also everything. I care. I care about those who are about to embark on their journey because it is exciting. And I hope that they find the same happiness that I have." That's just my thoughts. And I wish you the best in your journey, wherever it may take you. So that was my sentiment. At the moment I had written it, it was just a very spontaneous response. And it says a lot about what I naturally think, what naturally comes to my mind when I think about doing this. When I got introduced to this, I didn't know anything about medical coding. I didn't even know that this was a field at all. I didn't know anything. And it came at a time in my life where I was in a transition. And if you've watched some of my videos, you know my story. I was going through a divorce and I had moved back in with my mom, and I was trying to start my life again. I was trying to get back up on my feet. I was in my between my mid and late 20s, and I was at this point where trying to find something to do and trying to get going again was priority for me. And the thing that I like to do is study. I've always been a studier. I wanted to be an attorney when I was a child, and all of that training that I did for myself, which was, I knew that attorneys needed to like to read and they needed to write very well. So that was what I did. And I spent my whole youth doing that. I didn't do all the regular things that kids did, in high school and in middle school. I didn't do all that other stuff. I was always studying and reading because that was my life path. I wanted to be an attorney. And, circumstances in life, you don't go where you think you want to go, right? And so this sort of fell into my lap when I was unemployed, and I went to the unemployment office, and they had us pair up with a social worker, and one of the classes that they were offering was for accounting, and I love numbers. I'm a numbers math whiz, you know what I mean? Like, I can do numbers in my sleep. But he was like, no, why don't you try medical coding? And that's when it all sort of started from there. But how did I know that I really loved it? Once I got past the first part, which was once I got my credential, then it was, okay, now you got to get a job. And once I got past that hurdle, because that is a hurdle all in itself, and that hurdle will weed out a lot of people, and it always does, unfortunately. And I think sometimes for some people, they would have made great coders, but they get caught up in that first part and they just give up, unfortunately, because sometimes either they don't know or they don't have a good support system to help support them so that they know that this is just part of it, you know. So when I got past that, and then I sort of coasted along for a few years, it just became, you know, I moved here, and, you know, I went through a loss. I lost my mom at that time, and then trying to sort of just, okay, I got to keep my head above water, and I gotta try to learn whatever I can. But it was just about, this is a job at the time, and it was just like, okay. And I'd had some adjustment period with my supervisor at the time, and it got me to think, am I in the right field? Am I in the right job? Because I was so unhappy, and I was unhappy not because of the work, but I was unhappy because of the people that I was around at the time. And I realized that, and it was at a point where I was just like, should I try to do something else? Should I try to go to law school? Should I try to pick this up now? Or should I, you know, become a real estate agent? Because that was another thing I wanted to try to do. And I was just like, you know, am I doing the right thing? And I thought about it a long time, and I did. It was a good year that I had thought about it. It was just like, you know, because I was going through this adjustment period with this person, and it was bad. It was really bad. And, you know, my supervisor at the time did not did not make it easy, and that was it could have been a turning point at that point if I had just given it up, but I didn't. And I stuck with it, and I said to myself, no, there's not going to be anybody to take me out of my job and take me out of something that I enjoyed it, but it didn't click. It didn't fully click, right? And it didn't fully click until I moved into the new hospital, okay? Because we had been housed away from our providers for a long time. And I had learned things because I had started going to conference, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And so as I'm there and I'm learning all of these things and having this experience, because my first experience with an AHIMA conference was out in San Diego. That was the most fun, next to Miami. I will say that. It was the most fun conference. I mean, the conferences are always fun, but San Diego was amazing. And I don't know if it's because it was my first time, you know, but it was like, I mean, it was an experience like no other. You know, I went to a party out on the Padres field. You know, I saw Bleu. I met Bleu, and I saw Casey and the Sunshine Band. And so it was amazing. It was so much fun. I rode on one of those little bicycle cart thingies in the middle of downtown. It was a lot of fun. So having that experience, and I was just like, huh. And all the things that I had learned, which was, I started to learn about CDI and what did that mean. I started to learn more about different specialties, because they did have a few specialties that they did talks about. So I was like, So I started to learn more at that time, and then it became more interesting. And then as I'm sitting there and I'm coding, getting back to work, and I'm coding, and I'm going through these audits with my new boss now. And she starts to notice that I am picking up these very detailed diagnoses. And she's seeing how the documentation and the diagnoses are really matching up. And she's like, wow. She said, this is really awesome. You did good on this one. She goes, she honestly told me, she's like, I didn't think you were going to get this one. And I'm like, do you know who I am? I'm kidding. But I just looked at her like, really, whatever, you know. And so it just became a little bit more of like, oh, well, if I can do that, what else can I do? So I started reading more. I started reading the journals and things like that for AHIMA. And then like I said, we moved into the big, beautiful new hospital. And I got embedded into the clinic, the clinic that I was embedded in, right, is podiatry, okay? Because podiatry and orthopedics are housed right next to each other. So my office was in the podiatry hallway, okay? And so I'm there and I'm with my partner and we are deciding to meet with our new providers. And we are going to be one-on-one with them now. That was the whole goal, you know. So we start to meet and we start to make connections because we both had agreed that it was important to make these connections. She had known many of them for many years because she had been at the hospital for, you know, about 15 years at the time. And so it was just like, you know, this person is this person, this person, this person. So you introduced me to everybody. But we had an open house, you know, and so we invited all the people. We invited everybody from the clinic in. And we had like waters and we had donuts and we had all of these nice, we had this really nice setup. And just to sort of introduce ourselves. And so it started to go from there. You know, we started to talk and we started to, at least I did, you know, she had already known these people. And I was just excited because I was just like, oh, you know, now if I have any questions, you know, but I was thinking to myself, no, I can't go to them. That's, you know, they're not going to want to hear from me. They're not going to, I'm going to look stupid, right? I'm going to look stupid if I go and talk to them. So we had this meeting one day and it was our first meeting like in the clinic and everything. And we were doing it in service and we're just going over some bullet points and things like that. And you may have heard me mention Dr. X before. If you're brand new to my channel, Dr. X, I feel is very instrumental in my development as a coder. And had I not had this experience with him, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I think when you are in a situation where you're put in front of certain people and you start to gain those relationships, you start to build them, that it does make a difference in how you develop, okay? And if I did not have that curiosity from him, I may not have ever thought that it was possible. So we all started talking about, you know, just about random things and things like that. So it just became like, oh, okay, so we can all sort of relax, or at least I started to relax a little bit more because I said, okay, well, maybe, you know, what they're asking, because they were asking me questions about the coding. So I was like, okay, well, maybe, you know, maybe they do want to know what I have to say, you know, or maybe they do value the things that I am saying to them. So it took some time and we started to, Dr. X and I started talking a little bit more. And then it became of, okay, well, let me ask him, because he started to ask me, you know, what can he do better? And I always told him, you know, he does really good. But he's like, yeah, but I want to do better. And it turned out that he could do better. There was room for improvement for him. And so it's just like, oh, okay. So then it became of, well, if this documentation is improving, am I really understanding? So then I started to ask more questions. And so then he would be like, yeah, then he explained this and he explained this about body mechanics. And then he gave me a suggestion about a book that I should read. Because I asked him, I was like, I need a book name. And he's like, okay, so he gave me this book name. And so I was able to look at this body mechanics book and I was like, oh, now this makes sense. You know, it was layman's terms. It was better for me, right? Because, you know, I never went to medical school, you know, like, what do I know? And I told him one day, I was like, you know, sir, I mean, I don't know this stuff. And I said, I'm trying my best. He goes, I see you are. I know you are. And then I said, he goes, but that's the thing. He goes, you're the coder. That's, you know that coding stuff. I don't know the coding stuff. I'm the doctor. You don't know the doctor stuff. And I was like, right. He's like, exactly. He goes, so this makes it, he goes, but you understand me and I understand you. And then he taught me the difference between sometimes the way we speak as medical coders does not make sense to providers because they, in his words, they hear a lot of times like the white noise. They can't, it doesn't make sense to them, right? Because we're all about these rules and they're thinking that it's there and it's not. And so he goes, I can communicate with you and you can communicate with me. And so we were able to, like, basically if I said something and I could see that they were confused, the other providers, then he would translate. He would literally say the same thing, but then it would click. I don't know if it was just his voice or what, but he would translate it, and then it was just like, oh, okay. So then it's just like, okay, now I really got to up my game, because now they're going to expect me to know more and understand more. And so that's when I started to realize, on the weekends, when I started to read the journals, and when I started to subscribe to the New England Journal of Medicine, I said, wow, I'm really investing now. Because not only do I go to conferences and I learn from there, but I was spending time reading, and I was spending time trying to learn and better myself. And that was when I realized that it's not just a job anymore. This was a career. And then it wasn't just Dr. X, it was other doctors as well. And I worked very closely with a neurospine surgeon who was very fascinating to work with, because they are so intelligent. In their intelligence, I value intelligence. That's one thing that I value the most. I like intelligent conversation. I like talking with brilliant people, and I like hearing what they have to say. And so my experiences with them just made me want to study more. I was like, I got to keep up. I've got to be able to understand these words, and I've got to really know, what do these words mean? What does it mean when they say this? Or what does it mean when they say increased signal, or whatever the case may be? And so doing all that, I was like, And then just waking up early in the morning and just like, oh, I wonder what I'm going to come across today. And I would have this thought in my head in the morning when I get up and get ready. And I pick out my outfit and, go to work. and it's all about presentation as well, because a lot of times, if you aren't presenting yourself well, like as far as like how you're dressing and if you're looking professional and things like that, it does do a lot, and people do start to pay attention to you more. Because I've stood side by side with, leaders before, other supervisors, and I was the one who was dressed up, and they asked me, and so this wasn't always well received by the other supervisors, but when you take it seriously, people will notice. Okay. And so then it became more of, okay, I have a responsibility now. Now I've got an even bigger responsibility, because I really have to make sure that when I am saying something, I really know what I'm talking about, because questions are going to beget more questions. That's when you're trying to learn, you will have more questions, and it doesn't stop. It really doesn't. So that's another thing in and of itself, is that it's never going to stop, these questions. And then deciding to do YouTube and being here with all of you. And the first year, like I said, I was guilty of not taking it seriously in the first year. I mean, I was, because I thought, if I put out an episode every day, they're going to get tired of me. These people are going to get tired of me, and I'm going to run out of things to say. Not so. You guys make it to where I don't run out of material. There is nothing for me there's no lack of subjects to talk about with you guys, because there's always inspiration. There's inspiration from a lot of you. And I will get emails and I'll be inspired. And like this question that I got, it inspired an entire episode of how did I know? And my journey is not the same as everybody else's. I know that, and I know that I'm lucky that I had my journey the way that I did, because, where else would I be, And sometimes people try to capture that too. They try to capture that same magic, but it's a lot of work. I will say that. It's rewarding, but it's a lot of work. And and I try to be as honest with you guys as possible, like I don't know everything, and, but I try to learn, and that's all you can do. And there are times when, yes, even I get frustrated when I can't grasp something, when something doesn't make sense. And when I get these emails from viewers, and I know they're experiencing that same frustration, and it's on like medical terminology or anatomy, right? They're getting that frustration at that point, that it's like, oh, I can't get this, Blue. I can't get this. Yes, you can. you know, it's a little early in the game, you know, but when it comes to anatomy and physiology, I think what happens is people get overwhelmed. And if they're not using the proper tools, right, the basic, start with the basic. If you start with the basic, then it won't be so overwhelming, because then you get the broad strokes. As long as you get the broad strokes of your anatomy, physiology, medical terminology, you're good, because then you can start to learn the details later. I'm in the details part, but keep in mind, the details part took me over 10 years. Okay, so, you know, that is where I am. But like I said, it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into it too. So, but as long as you really stick with it, and then you take initiative and you take control of your response to what's going on around you, to how you are reacting to others, that is also another key part of it, because it can, other people, how they treat you can affect what happens to you in this career field. Like I said, going back to that one supervisor that wasn't the nicest to me, and I still have to see her occasionally. And so it's like, but I am okay, right? I'm okay because I'm there, you know, I'm still there. And I have this, you know, I have you guys, I have YouTube. And when I have a hard day at work, because I do occasionally have hard days at work, and I come here and I talk to you guys, or I get an email from one of you and, you know, telling me, you know, how, you know, maybe I encouraged you when you felt like you wanted to give up. And that, oh, that right there just always makes my day. It just turns me around anytime. And so that's why I continue to do this with you guys. I continue to you know, give you guys a tough love. And I know some people don't like the tough love, but I think when you are built stronger and you know that it's out of care, that I really do truly care, honestly, okay? When it's given that way, I hope that it's understood that I never want you guys to talk bad about yourselves. I never want you to think that you can't do it. And I never want you guys to give up, especially if you've already gotten through the program, you're out there looking for a job. I never want you guys to give up. So if I come across sometime, some way, like it's tough love, and Blue, don't be so mean. I'm not trying to be mean, guys. I really am not. You know, I just don't want you guys to get to a point where you're going to give yourself permission to give up when it's just a little bit more. You just need that little bit more of a push to say, yes, you can, and you will do this. And maybe it will grow like it grew for me, okay? And this was all self-stimulated. I did not have anybody after my mom passed away. I didn't have anybody to sit there and tell me, you know, you can do this, you can do this. That was my mom. That was my mom. And all the time she spent with me to help me to get to this point where I really love this. Can you imagine that? All of her encouragement has literally carried me all these 11 years since she's been gone. That's amazing. So that's what I want you guys to know. That when you have that, and you have those good people in front of you, and of course I will always thank my mom. I owe my career to my mom. But when you have those people and you have that energy around you that is pushing you to do forward and go and do your best, that's really amazing. But pay attention, because it's there, okay? And don't give up on yourself, whatever you do. If you decide you want to do this, get ready. It's fun, and it will try to beat you up at the same time, figuratively, you know. But when you learn more and you can have these conversations with these really intelligent people, or you can teach the next generation behind you of medical coders, that's an amazing career. I'm just saying. Anyway, I am going to wrap this one up. I hope this helped. if you are considering this career field. I got plenty of videos on what it's like a day in the life of, and plenty of other opinion videos of my own. All right, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will subscribe. I hope you will like this. And if you think this video can help somebody else, I hope that you will share it. I will see y'all tomorrow for Q&A Tuesday. So if you are a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider, or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. I will see y'all next time. Bye.